I'm excited to be joined by Kristaps here at the Drift HQ shop, and we're doing something a little bit new. We're going to hang out with Kristaps. He's going to give us a rundown on his car a little bit. We'll go into some of the details, some of the nitty-gritty, and then he's going to do some rips around the compound. So this is the original Eurofighter that you brought over and debuted, what was it, 5 years ago now?
Yeah, actually, yeah. This is the original one, the very first build that we brought here to US in 2017, end of the season. The one that we had to pull out for the FD finals because our E46 engine blew. So yeah, that's the very first one, and we call it legendary. So this car, I believe, won't be for sale anymore. So not anymore, but anytime. So we're just gonna keep it as it is because it has some nice history and a lot of good memories.
I think one of my favorite memories with this car was seeing it rip up the hill at FD Atlanta. I had never wanted an LS engine, but when I heard this thing, like...
Blušs out front, Osmo in the chase position, Spark, Osmo right there! But Blušs pulls away, Blušs pulling away! Massive angle from Blušs! In my eyes, I think Blušs has got it!
I don't know, you can go into some details about the engine. I don't know anything about V8s, but this thing sounds phenomenal.
Yeah, back in the days, well, now we have a different one. But back in the days, yeah, it was massed motorsport built LS V8s, and that was kind of like a, how you call it, a project. Like they built something very unique, and we didn't know how it will perform. So at the end, it like blew up, like I guess in Texas. So it lasted for 5 rounds. Yeah, it was. It made around 900 horsepower on a crank, and we rev it up to 9,000 RPM. So that's why that sound came from it, like crazy one.
Yeah, it was good. So when this car came over, carbon Kevlar wasn't really popular. Now, obviously, I feel like that is kind of central to the HGK brand and a lot of the parts that you produce. How did that come about? What made you start experimenting with carbon Kevlar, and why do you like it so much?
Well, first of all, that's not about the look, but the way the part performs. So Kevlar gives it the flexibility, and the carbon gives the strength. So that all, since drift is a kind of like a contact sport, and all the time you're just bumping into somebody else's car or somebody hits you. So that really helps you to keep the same parts for the rest of the season. And then the end of the year, basically, it's a cost-effective solution to have a Kevlar parts, because I believe we might even found some of the parts that still are from 2017.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's cool. No, I've seen some people completely back into walls to where the rear end's like smush and it just pops back out and it looks perfect.
Yeah, it has some cracks, but as the piece, the body part, it still holds together. Yeah, that's the fun fact.
So the foundation of this car, is it an M3? Is it a non-M? Does it matter? What is it?
Yeah, many people like struggle with that. Do I need what chassis do I need? Like 335, M3, or any other? So in general, the chassis are exactly the same, all of them. Like this one is the 320 diesel right-hand drive. We bought the chassis from UK, so it really doesn't matter like what chassis it is, what engine. You just take any chassis and you can build up the Eurofighter. Yeah.
I don't know why it's so funny to me that this started as a diesel.
Yeah, it started a diesel, probably the weakest Eurofighter we have out there, because usually the guys bringing 335s, maybe some chassis been M3, so this is the, if you look at the VIN number, yeah, the weakest one.
So when you started building the Eurofighter cars, was it intentional that you planned to build other people Eurofighters, or was it something that you just wanted to produce the parts? Like, how did that come about? Was that part of the plan the whole time?
At that time, we already, we were building the cars for the customers, but the real story is far behind. Back in, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, when we were doing the time attack and race circuit competitions, and then we were doing well, and the rest of the guys were just coming to us and asking for advice or questions, and even afterwards they asked us to build the cars for them. So basically just naturally came hobby turned into a business that we were doing well. The guys, mechanics were doing the very good job, very reliable and fast cars, and that's how it turned into the business. Yeah, and now we are doing the competitions, racing ourselves, and the mainly building the cars and the parts for the customers.
It's super cool. I think, like, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the only company that I know of in drifting where you can go on a website and basically spec out like a chassis that's built, ready to go. You drop in your own drivetrain, or even you guys can do drivetrain. I think we were messaging back and forth a while ago. I'm not going to say what chassis it was, but I was trying to get some pricing because I was considering doing one of your cars, which would have been really cool. But
yeah, definitely. We are open to the customers. We are open to negotiate what condition he wants to get a car. Either it's a complete build or he can get, we call it rolling chassis. So you have all the fab done with the chassis, installed body kit, all the fuel, water lines, everything what's related to the liquid systems, and then just he can pop in any engine, any drivetrain, diff, do the electric part, yeah, and it's ready to go.
so obviously this car, I'm guessing, would be your preferred drivetrain chassis setup of choice. This is the car you chose to bring up for Formula Drift. So give me a basic rundown of like suspension-wise on the car. What are you running? Is it Wise Fab?
Yeah, well, this one is the Pro level drift car. It has all the goodies like most of the cars in the field. It has Wise Fab suspension, some Sonus sequential gearbox, Winters quick change diff, chrome ollie axles, carbon tri-shaft, many other like cool stuff. And well,
Can we go around and kind of walk around the car? I love the ducting setup.
yeah,
on this car.
was kind of like a cool creation by the guys. So how to get there to the rear mounted radiator, same time like having a improve like airflow. So yeah, and they become to the idea just like kind of like, I don't know how to call it, just to, I don't know, dig in the rear window and just have the airflow go through the trunk compartment.
Well, I love that you can still have a rear window that you can see out of too. I mean, I don't know how much you actually use it drifting, but like sometimes when I drive, I'll look in my peripheral if I have a car that has a rear window. So like, it's definitely a cool thing to have.
Yeah, well, I don't have the rear view mirror inside the car, but if you have one, yeah, definitely you can do a nice parking backwards.
Can we see the trunk?
And then yeah, we have a lot. Here's the hidden spring fasteners. Just pop
Super
it up
simple
and,
crash structure.
There's not much, yeah. We had to redo because this year we driving 295, so we had to add some weights on the back. Before it was aluminum to save the weight, but since yeah we had to add the weight, so we just made it from the steel, and it's all empty. So like the most of the drift cars has, so you can ride the wall. And before that, back in the days, we had a fuel cell here on the back, so just for the more weight distribution, but kind of challenged ourselves to install it inside the car to see if we can improve, I don't know, the speed of transition or something, so the weight is more focused to the middle of the car.
Do you think you notice a difference? Because that's like one of my biggest complaints with the pro level cars and the fuel cell in the rear. I've always felt like it's had like kind of like that pendulum effect to where like a stock gas tank car I feel like always feels better.
I think the effect is on slower tracks, whereas you have a sharp corners and you have a lot of transitions. That makes sense, yeah. But other than that, like when you're going like in Atlanta, like fast tracks, it really doesn't make a sense. No. And we as well are running the LSD in quick rear change diff, so that also might gain some advantage against the spool. I believe I saved some runs in road Atlanta having the LSD.
Yeah.
So, for instance, if you're going up the hill and you're a little bit too much outside and you're off throttle, so the rear wheels just locks and just might wipe you out. Like, and I was there at one point, and I think since you have an LSD, the wheels are still slightly rotating, and just somehow I managed to save that run.
That's an interesting perspective. I feel like that's a pretty big debate when it comes to like pro level drifting.
Yeah.
What would you say? Most of the field's on spools and a couple guys are on LSDs, or?
I would say 90% should be on the spools.
Yeah. I
know a few people who have tried LSDs, but I don't know if they stick with it. But definitely, if there is wet conditions, that's 100% advantage.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I like. Selfishly, I mean, I guess it's a bad way to look at it. I like running LSDs on cars if I know they're going to brake a lot, just because it's so much easier to push. Probably not the way you should build a pro car, but and if you guys that are watching aren't familiar with a spool is essentially just like a one solid unit. It'd be the equivalent of having a welded diff in a car, but you're not going to weld a diff on a car of this caliber. A spool is just like solid unit. The wheels are linked, no matter acceleration, deceleration, off throttle, neutral. They're linked.
Yeah, I like the point of saying like it's easier to push the car. Yeah, definitely. It makes sense.
Yeah, like it's true. It's true. It's a huge deal. So your fuel cell is
Just behind me.
okay, and it has its own. It's not, I guess, not a firewall. It's like a box that you built around it.
Yeah, we built a container around it, so because it's by rules have to be covered by a steel container. So it's underneath there.
You mind if I open?
Sure.
Cool. Specifically inside, anything you want to address?
Everything as much as you can have in a carbon fiber, nice and like fancy look. So as a race car should look. So because that's the toy, that's the we play with. The fans are looking at, so we like to have it fancy, expensive look. So it's nice to drive, and it's a lot of you have a functional, like you have a bottle holder, iPhone holder.
My favorite thing for sure is the fact that you have a cup holder.
Yeah.
Like,
But-
this is the same console that's in my Supra. Is it a universal one?
Yeah, that's the universal one. Unfortunately, it was built back in the days when we didn't have that big iPhones. I think the maximum you can get there is the 10.
Well, I put my vlog camera there. I know you probably weren't intending vloggers to have your stuff, but
Yeah, but means probably we might modify that to have
Yeah.
the 13s and 14s to fit.
no, that's the cup holder is like the most gangster thing ever. I
Yeah,
love it.
probably another cool thing is like a shifter, also made from the carbon. It's much lighter than the steel one, and that it makes shifting much easier.
Interesting.
Yeah, because the weight balance is much more on the bottom, and it's on upper point. It's much easier to shift.
So the cage and all the fabrication you guys do in house.
Yeah, it's we try to do everything in the house, and yeah, the guys just putting out a great job.
No, it's a beautiful car. Can we pop the hood?
Yeah, sure. So as everybody assume, yeah, that's the engine we are running. Actually, this engine is the setup we had on a E46. So we swap from what we had originally one. This is 466, 13.5 compression ratio, and we just adding nitrous on the top just to have a horsepower as much as we need here in FD, because obviously NA is not as much as not enough for the tire size, for the grip level. We are
Especially in
getting
Atlanta,
here.
probably.
Definitely, yeah. Back in the days, we were running 100% natural aspirated, so only fuel and air, and yeah, it made those 900 horsepower, and that was a perfect setup for the Atlanta.
So is this still technically a mass motor?
No, it's just, I would say it's just valve covers.
Got
I've
it.
left from originally. Well, the heads were built by Mast, but the block is rebuilt, and we did it back home ourselves. Yeah.
And power-wise, what kind of figures does this thing make NA?
NA it makes a little bit over 700, and then we're adding between 200 to 150 shots, so close to 1,000 up.
How's the torque on it?
Torque is close between 1200.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So it's more torque than power?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's what the LS are about. And you add whenever you add the nitrous, yeah, it just gains more torque than the power.
Interesting. Yeah, the Ford motors that we run in the Mustangs definitely have more power than torque. So like you've got to keep them wicked up. Is this like high RPM or pretty mid-range? Like what's the power band like?
It's more focused on mid-range, because we have that what is called carburetor type intake, and in combination with the cam, it gains the maximum torque on mid RPM. So that's the range where mostly we are playing while drifting.
That's cool. Any other specific trick things you want to mention? I know you've got your motor plate set up.
Yeah, we have the LS motor plate. We building the same for the 2JZs. So most of the guys might know, but this is the kind of still cool thing to have. So we have a front bumper quick release. So you just pop up the handles and whole bumper just comes off. And you have plenty of room to maintain the car.
I like how it has the recessed
Yeah.
nubs in here. That way you don't need to have any sort of attachment here.
Exactly, yeah. So it fits together with the fenders.
There's one thing to have a bumper that can remove easily, but it's another one to have a bumper that can be removed easily and fits well.
Yeah, well, you might have a challenge when you have a hit from the side, so this mechanism is kind of pretty tiny, but still it holds enough so you don't lose the parts. We always kind of having a discussion because most of the guys have the bumpers attached with the zip ties, and whenever there's a contact or you hit the cone, the bumper is off. So our cars doesn't lose the parts on the track.
No, I like too, like you're, at least compared to a lot of other cars I've seen, I feel like everything is way, way farther back. Like this is a huge empty pocket to absorb the crash, where a lot of times I feel like you see oil coolers in cars still in line like up this far. This is sick.
So you try to keep all the goodies within the chassis. So if there's like some serious hit or something, so everything is safe behind the crash bar, because most of the cars has a front crash bar structure. Instead of that, we just made in a bumper inner part like these crazy thick carbon Kevlar boxes. So basically,
yeah, that's pretty rigid.
This is the part what we called crash bar.
Got it.
So whenever you hit the bumper, deformation is somewhere here, but not in the chassis.
Is this solid or hollow?
It's hollow.
Wow.
Yeah, you can take the
You're not.
front cover off, and then you can reach the point where the quick release mechanism attached from the front. So basically there is a
Like a
hole
panel?
inside. Yeah.
That's super cool. So what do you rev this motor to?
This one is a hydraulic setup. We decided to keep it safe and simple, and it runs 7,000 RPM only. So that's why our car doesn't sound as good as it used to. And most of the cars in the grid are much louder. So whenever you do a tandem, you hear only the other car. So Eurofighter is pretty quiet.
Well, at least it's got enough statement on its own without the sound. It's such a cool looking car, especially with your. It's a very subtle livery, but I love it. Just like the neon yellow complements the carbon Kevlar so well.
Yeah, kind of like we got with this livery back in 2008. It kind of looks cool. It's simple. Doesn't have to spend a lot of time and money on the livery, but yeah, and same time we can expose the Kevlar stuff.
Now the wheels that you run these are your wheels, correct?
Yes, that's our own custom-made wheels. On the front we're running 18s by 9, and on the rear 10s.
And is there anything specific you do?
Those are forged rims. They're quite expensive, but they are unbreakable. Whenever you hit the curb or something else, you just keep going. There is some scratches, and they last, I would probably say, forever. So this is cool stuff.
Now, if you had to pick a drift chassis, I know you've probably driven a lot of them. What would you say is your favorite and why?
Nowadays, probably E92, but that's every chassis can be competitive. So whenever probably after a certain time we will swap the chassis. I don't know, either will be F22 or maybe Supra, and whenever we will get one of those cars for our own team, we will just make it as fast and as perfect as possible. So this car is now in a condition there is not much you can do anymore to improve something. So this is the top level and max, and that's it. No more ideas what to improve.
Well, we're about to see one of the top level E92s drift around a concrete parking lot in the jungle, and I could not be more excited. So
let's do it.
Thank you for giving us a walk around. I appreciate it. If you guys want to learn any more about Kristaps' car or HGK, you can find more info on his social media and his website that we will put on the screen right here. And as you guys may or may not already know, we do have quite the supply of HGK parts, carbon Kevlar, even some of your fancy bumper mounts, crash structures, all the goodies over on drifthq.com. But let's get to the fun part and let's go shred some laps.
Let's hit it.
I wasn't expecting it. I thought I'd get to watch from the outside.
No, not much to worry about.
All right, you want to walk me through the startup procedure?
Ignition.
Is that display right?
There's someone here, but usually it's too low, and then I'm looking at the top one.
Ooh, that's interesting. I've never felt a floor-mounted clutch before. It's kind of cool.
Floor mounted?
Yeah, like usually they're always hanging.
Firewall mounted, yeah. And then you start.
That's it?
Yeah.
What do you think of the little layout? It's kind of cool, right?
Huh?
Do you like the layout?
Yeah, it's alright. Cool. Second is enough.
Yeah, I agree.
More is good to go.
I could do another lap. That's super fun.
It's up pretty well.
I love it. I think the tires are done.
Now they're gone.
That was super fun, thank you. Very intuitive car to drive. Lots of side bite.
Same setup, yeah, just pressure is raised, and I think the car is put the sway bar on the stiffest position.
Yeah.
On competition it was on soft.
No, it's very cool. I don't know that I've
really gripped it up. This chassis.
Yeah.
Great.
I don't know that I've drifted a like a competition E92 before. It's pretty good. I like it. Time for a tire change.
Tire change.
No warm-up necessary. That was sick. Woo! That was sick. That was a hell of a lap with no warm-up. That was super good. That was great driving.
Yeah, pretty aggressive.
That was
I
awesome.
didn't expect to go floor.
No, that was great. The grip's pretty good here, right?
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, considering there's like 24 psi
You think it's big enough to do Formula Drift on that layout?
here.
Imagine.
In the second gear,
Yeah.
pretty tight, but
I know.
still good to go.
No, that was good.
Ride for 2 cars. Thanks for having us. Thanks for hospitality. It's really nice to be here in the compound and helping us on this US journey. Good times.